Ladies and gentlemen, Xeno scum, filthy heretics, welcome to the Triple One's Wargaming podcast. I'm your host, Jasper Axelson, and I'm with the other host,
Zakk Wallace.
And today we're going to be going over our RTT lists.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We'll be going over our RTT lists and just general tournament prep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get right into it.
Dive on in.
Deep dive right on in. So I am bringing to this RTT Craft World Eldar. Let's go.
Pre-Codex.
Pre-Codex, baby, but I will be using the supplement coming out in the White Dwarf.
Nice.
It comes out this Saturday, and the TO let me use it, so
that's cool.
We're bringing that and kind of just go over generally what the list is. So I'm bringing a Farseer Skyrunner, a Warlock, a 2-man Warlock Conclave on foot, a 8-man Blob of Warlock Conclave on bike, 5-man Dire Avenger unit, 8 Wraith Blades, 6 Swooping Hawks, a Viper, 2 units of 3 Wind Riders, 2 units of 3 Dark Reapers with the Indirect, a Night Spinner, a support weapon with the Shadow Weaver, and the Wraith Seer with the D-Cannon Indirect.
Interesting.
Yeah, so basically, this is my last hurrah with the Warlock Conclave, the big one on bike. If rumors are true, it's going away.
Yeah, I gotta do a send-off game.
Yeah, gotta do the send-off game. So I'm sending off Quicken, because apparently Quicken, you can't do anything after you use it. Sending off Protect, sending off Jinx in the right way. So, I'm excited. I'm using the new supplement mainly because that 2 CP make anything OBSEC.
Yep, I like that a lot.
And then there's a it's a relic that lets me advance and shoot and still do an action. So, as we'll go into a little bit later, the missions we're playing, 2 of them have those objective tertiaries.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's going to be, it'll help a little bit, just a little bit more chip stuff, but really it's for the advance, because then I can still advance those jet bikes and potentially do tertiaries.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, so that's kind of the list. Would you like to go into yours, sir?
Yeah, I'll briefly go over this. So this is, I am bringing Tau, and I am expecting Tau to get a fairly decent points hike.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a Storm Surge while I can still fit it in my list without dropping anything I need.
Hell yeah.
So this is because I wanted to play with my cool Storm Surge.
Right.
So I am taking Farsight Enclaves. I'm hardcore into Farsight. I would probably be taking this even if it was not the most optimal. We're going to see what it can do. I think Farsight Enclaves is really good.
It's really good, and I will confirm, he did say he was going to be playing Farsight Enclave before the Codex.
No matter
what. He did say that, unfortunately.
So, starting off the list, of course, Commander Farsight.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oshova himself. Then I have a commander in Cold Star, the Smash Commander, or Smash O, if you will.
Ah, Donkey Punch.
Yeah, he can really kill some shit in close combat. Then we got only 2 troops. There's not much OBSEC in this list.
Okay.
Kind of going for the Leaf Blower style.
I like it.
So we got 10 Krut, just a strike team with a Shazway.
Nice.
Then we get to the meat and potatoes.
The good stuff.
We have a unit of Crisis battle suits. It's 5 suits, 4 Crisis, and 1 Shazvray. The whole unit has airbursting, fragmentation projectors, cyclic ion, plasma, shield. Instead of shield, the Shazvray has the shoots Overwatch for free. And then a few shield drones, and then the bodyguards are quite similar. They've got missile pod, plasma, flamer, also shoot Overwatch for 3 stealth drones. Or shield drones, my bad.
Nice.
And then we got 9 Pathfinders, or 10 Pathfinders, 9 in a Shazway. No upgrades on them, just marker lights.
Yep.
6 Vespid. Going with 6, so they can still retrieve data. They can still do actions reliable. Yeah. Also pretty decent at killing power armor.
They're not bad.
Then we have a unit of 4 Kroot Hounds. 24 points just to score me engage for a turn, or they can do some of the actions in the mission specific. You'll notice I have too many fast attacks. That's because I can take a free unit of Kroot Hounds. Like, they don't take up a slot for each unit of Kroot I take. You can take one of the other Kroot units.
Right, nice.
I actually panicked a couple days ago because I was like, this is an illegal list. And I was like, oh, wait, no, actually, it's still legal.
You're like, oh, it's fine.
It's fine. Then we got a Riptide, Heavy Burst.
Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
2 Devilfish, just with gun drones. Didn't have the points for SMS.
Oh.
Then we got the motherfucking Storm Surge.
Lord of War!
Which thankfully now, because the FAQ only takes 1 CP to use.
We're getting there, folks.
Right?
Almost able to field these.
Yeah, it's
well,
kind
the
of
Storm
nice.
Surge is pretty good, actually.
For 330 points for the Pulse Driver Cannon version, I'd say he's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Comes stock with target lock, so he's always ignoring cover.
Yeah. Yes, very good.
So my general game plan with this list, I will be doing the thematic superhero landing crisis suit unit.
Have to with that strategy.
Oh, reroll all hits and wounds with Farsight Enclaves.
Oh my lord.
Oh, absolutely. So they're kind of getting me engage. I typically plan for engage. I like it. I know you like Stranglehold.
I love Stranglehold.
I've just never been partial to Stranglehold. It's a nice backup for me.
You just don't know the life.
I like me some engage.
I'm gonna force you to play Stranglehold one day, and you'll just never go back to engage.
I like the board edge.
Yucky.
But yeah, my general kind of game plan is take advantage of the fairly light terrain.
We did see some pictures, not to the TO's fault.
Yeah, of
might have
course.
looked a little light, just based on what the game place has.
Yeah. I wouldn't say quite 8th edition, but
no, but it's
also not quite 9th.
It's in that middle area. It's in the gray area.
Yeah.
So basically your list is it kind of just going for like Canadians beware because Leafs will be blowed.
Indeed, yeah.
Good.
Beware your maples. I got a couple deep striking units. I like how fast Tau can be now.
Yeah, they can be really quick.
The Cold Star bumps up a unit to a 8-inch auto advance, and if I Monk Ka, I advance and treat as stationary for shooting turns 1, 2, and 3.
Perfect.
Spicy. Yeah, I'm kind of just planning on engage. Rod is a nice, or not Rod anymore.
R&D.
I'm gonna keep saying that.
Deploy Scramblers.
Retrieve. Yeah, deploy Scramblers is what it is. But yeah, I'm kind of teching in for that. My general game plan is the Kroot do it, the Vespid do it, and then so the Kroot can kind of do it in both of my home quarters.
Yeah.
The Vespid do it in one of the other opponent's quarters, and then Fire Warriors, they can get out after the Devilfish moves and then move themselves, which adds up to a 21-inch move.
Yeah.
Without advancing, and they can still R&D.
Yeah.
So they can pretty much get it in another quarter.
Good R&D range.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So
yeah, that's...
What about that third secondary?
So, if the terrain is a little light, and depending on army, I kind of want to take a clean victory where I will be going Monk Ka.
Right.
So battle rounds 1, 2, and 3. If I kill any units, it's 1 victory point. If I can kill 3 units in a turn, or a battle round, it's 3 victory points. So if I get that the first 3 turns, it's 9 points. I think you can score that one 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
But it's 9 to 12 points. It's not ideal because it forces you to act in the first few turns.
Well, it's kind of a weird grind.
Yeah, it's like a weird grind.
I mean, I gotta imagine if you see GSC on the other side of the table, might be taking it.
Yeah, might be taken in that case.
But even then, grind is still kind of just also there.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. The Tau secondaries aren't fantastic.
No, they're not.
So I do have the fallback of While We Stand, which would be both of the Crisis units and the Storm Surge.
That not bad.
The Storm Surge, he's out in the open, but you kind of have to focus on the stuff in your face.
Kind of don't really want to be shooting him.
Right, and he's 22 wounds, T8, 2-up save, 4-up invuln.
Kind of a pain.
I can reduce damage of an attack to 1 with a strat. It's kind of a pain to kill.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely army dependent. Kind of, you know, you have it to the last maybe a grind them down, and hopefully they give you something easy.
Yeah, if they bring nothing but tanks or something, I'm gonna be taking Bring It Down.
Yeah,
but
yeah, makes sense. I think over my secondaries,
Yeah, what were you thinking?
It's Eldar, so it's gonna be tough. Also, probably gonna be going for Engage, Zach.
Yeah.
Because Engage, I look at it like I don't have to be on the objectives, so I don't. If you have a better mission playing army than me, which you probably will, I don't have to rely on holding the objectives. But it also depends on what the mission I'm playing is, because there's 2 5 objective missions and 1 6.
Very true.
And kind of my game plan is to take that big unit of Wraiths, make them 2 up, 3 up, 5 up, and just throw them across the board and give me OBSEC. With that T6 3 wounds.
Ooh, I like that.
That's not bad.
No,
that's actually kind of hard to kill.
Yeah.
Like, the math on that, like, depending on what the meta is, I've seen that unit be really good and really bad. Right now, I'm kind of leaning towards it might be pretty good, because...
Oh, yeah.
A lot of things aren't ready for that 3-up invulnerable save.
Especially the Altensar strat to just give them OBSEC.
Yes, that's the plan.
I like that a lot.
I can move them really quickly turn 1 if I need to get that mid board, because I can auto advance them to 6, so they move 11, and then quick on them another 5, so they can move 17 inches.
Damn.
They're not doing much in combat, but I almost just don't need them to.
Right.
So I could take Stranglehold. I probably will take Stranglehold, depending on army, on the 5 objectives, but we'll see. Definitely doing R&D. The Swooping Hawks are definitely going to be doing it. The Dire Avengers are hopefully doing it in both of my backfield.
Yep.
And then push comes to shove, the Warlock Conclave might have to do it late game. We'll see. Depends how the game goes. And the third secondary is either going to be To the Last, which is the Wraith Guard, or the Wraith Blades, the Conclave, and the Wraith Seer.
Okay.
So it's kind of ghetto. I mean, I'm probably all going to die, or not all, but could die, but it depends what I'm playing. And then I also could do Mental Interrogation, or the I can't remember what the middle one is, but the psychic ritual where you go in the middle and then
psychic ritual.
Yeah, I think it is psychic. Yeah,
nailed it.
So something like that. I could shoot out a Farseer, do it, and then quicken him back to safety.
Yeah, I like that.
So I could do that. So I have a couple options. We'll see. I mean, that's kind of the plan for it. But honestly, I'm not expecting a whole lot. I'm playing Eldar. I'm playing my Warlock Conclaves. Just kind of going there, hoping to have fun.
It's a farewell to old book.
Yep, farewell to old book. So I'm excited. The missions we're playing, we kind of alluded to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Would you like to go over the missions we're playing?
Sure. Yeah. Maybe I'll take the first one. You can kind of go over the second one.
Sure.
So the first one we're playing is Tear Down Their Icons. Mission 12 in the new mission pack. So this one's kind of interesting. This is the one where you set up bombs in your opponent's territory. So
yes.
It's hammer and anvil, right? Yeah. No.
This is
the 6.
The diagonal.
Yeah. So the territories are divided like hammer and anvil halves. Hamburger halves. Yeah.
Yeah, hamburger halves.
So all you have to do is just get barely over that line. If you have an OBSEC unit, the action's completed at end of turn. Any other unit's completed at end of your command phase. So OBSEC will be big here.
Yeah.
You being able to give any unit OBSEC, I like that a lot.
Yes.
I'm a little worried about this one specifically.
Yeah. Kind of hoping just a leaf blower on this one.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Not a bad plan.
Yeah, not with new Tau.
Not bad.
But, it's an end of game scoring where for each bomb you placed at the end of the game you get, I think it's 3 points.
I think it might be 4.
Is it 4 to a max of 12?
I think it is. I think it's 4 points.
4 to a max of 12.
Yeah.
So it's pretty big, and you can only defuse 1 bomb a turn.
Yeah.
So if you can kind of get in there and drop a few before turns 4 and 5, you're pretty much guaranteed to get something out of it.
Another thing too is you have to be OBSEC to auto defuse it, otherwise it's a 4-up to defuse it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's big.
I don't know. Could be pretty big. Yeah. So that'll be fun. I really liked that mission when we played it.
So do I.
The whole planting bombs. I mean, it was like I had to go to law school to understand the mission first, but once I got down like how to play it, it was actually quite fun. I'm not gonna lie. It felt kind of thematic, like planting bombs and diffusing bombs. It was fun.
It was quite cool.
The second mission, I actually don't. Which mission is this? Is it 31?
31. Tide of Conviction.
Tide of Conviction. So yeah, this is the 6 objective mission, which is a hold 2, hold 3. Eldar no likey this one currently, It's kind of the goofy one where it's Dawn of War, and then there's it's like a stack of objectives, like a Jenga stack down the center.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. This is a hard one to explain.
Yeah, you kind of just have to look at it because it's like Jenga stack, and then one on your right side, and then one on the left side of the board. And essentially, I think the tertiary is you get points based on holding objectives in your opponent's territory.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's
2 points.
end of turn.
Yep, end of turn, 2 points, and then at the end of the game, you can do it again.
Yeah, it's turns 1, 2, 3, and 4 you score at end of turn. You don't score at end of 5, you just score at end of game.
Yes.
You only get the 2 points for holding objectives in your opponent's territory for turns 1 through 4. But at the end of game, if you hold your opponent's home objective in their deployment zone, that one's worth 4.
Yeah.
You can get, I think it's a max of 12 throughout turns 1 and 4. And then you can get an additional 12 for the end of game.
Real big
So
end
you get
game stuff.
24 points off.
That's huge. Not to mention, too, you only get your command point if you hold your home field objective.
Yep.
So you really better be holding that home field objective on this one.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how this one goes. How are you planning to play this one?
Oh, so I practiced this one last night. We both practiced this one a little bit.
Yeah.
It was my first time playing this one. I haven't played a whole lot into the new missions yet. I'm really going to try and just hold my own. I'm probably going to send out some Crute Hounds, maybe some Crisis Suits to try and get it throughout the game, but I'm hoping for that end of game, see if I can just blow them off stuff. And
Yeah. Just leaf blower away.
It's the Tau strategy.
Yeah.
We're going to use mobility and try and get where we need to be, and we're going to leaf blow you off where you need to be.
One nice thing is your indirect, because it's Dawn of War and because all like the Jenga stack runs down the middle.
Yep.
Kind of seems like you can hunker down your board and just airburst SMS things off if they're hiding behind those walls.
Yeah, that'll be kind of nice.
Yeah.
I did tech in a little bit indirect. Not as much as I would like.
Yeah.
I'm sacrificing a little bit for that Storm Surge.
For the memes.
For the memes. I wanted to play with it. I've
Yeah.
been looking at that model for some time.
Right.
But so I don't have a lot of indirect, but I do have the 5 air bursts. So for 5d6 shots and 24-inch range, I think it's AP 1, Strength 1.
Not bad.
You can get it up to AP 2 quite easily with Maka.
Yeah, very easily.
It's quite good.
Yeah. So then the last mission is the Scouring, everyone's least favorite from last chapter approved. However, I quite like the Scouring now.
I do. It's nice that you can deploy your whole army now.
Yep, they don't have that weird little manlet box anymore. You have like the actual just hamburger style
Hammer and Anvil.
Hammer and Anvil.
Yeah.
Hamburger and Anvil. That's what I'll call it. So, the 18 inches up on that longboard style. And then the objectives, I believe, were also placed slightly farther apart than they used to be. So you can now actually, in your deployment zone, if you're at the very edge of it, next to the where the objective is, you can hold it. Whereas you used to not be able to hold anything in your deployment zone.
Yeah.
So you'll see this if you play with those neoprene objective mouse pad markers. When you set it up, you'll see that your deployment zone just barely touches in, so you can hold it in your own deployment, which is big.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the tertiary on this one is an action one. Again, it is as long as there's not an enemy unit on the objective, you do this. You do an action, and then at the start of your next command phase, if it's completed, you get 3 victory points. You can only do it once per objective.
But am I wrong? Can you do it with any unit?
Yes.
I think anything can do it.
Anything can do it.
Your tank, your transport,
Tank, your Cellist Queen, anything can do it.
little unit of Crute Hounds.
Yep, anything can do it. I think this one, it's important to try and, if you can do that center one first, either shoot something up so your opponent can't do it, or do it yourself. So that'll be, if someone's able to do that center one early, that might hurt pretty bad with that 3 points.
Yeah.
So it's important, I think, to deny that one from your opponent, even if you have some cheap thing to throw up there, do it. Otherwise, it could be a little scary. Or you could just shoot the crap out of them away with Tau.
That's fair.
You could also just, you want to come up here? I'll just obliterate you.
Yeah, that's kind of my plan with this, is to keep them from doing it on the middle. do it in both of my home objective ones. Because if I can even just have my Devilfish transports do it on my home objectives, I'm getting 6 points for it.
Yeah.
If I can keep my opponent at 6 points for it, it levels it out.
Yeah, matches. You want to just at least match them.
Yep. Then I only have to worry about the rest of the game. I don't have to think about that so much.
I like that. Yeah, so that's the missions. The goal for the event. Zach, do you have a goal for this event?
Oh, it's a 3-rounder. I'd like to go 2-1. My stretch goal, pre-nerf Tau, I'd like to see if I can win it.
See if you can win it. Maybe even 3-0.
3-0, yeah, 3-0. Not win it,
maybe
but 3-0.
See if you can get 3. Yeah, I mean, it's doable. It certainly is. I mean, it's hard to win games, especially in this Minnesota meta. But
right?
I don't think it's unreasonable if it was 2-1, 3-0 stretch goal. I think that's perfectly reasonable with the army and the skill you have.
Yeah, well,
you get good matchups.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
I know there's gonna be someone there with Custodes.
Yeah, there's some decent players. I mean, our Minnesota area is actually quite tough. So
surprisingly so.
Winning an RTT is no like small feat in Minnesota. It really is not. I am hoping for 1 win with my craft build. That I'd be ecstatic with 1 win. I expect to go 0-3 because I am bringing Old Book. So, I mean, especially if there's lighter terrain, it is what it is.
I think you'll catch someone off guard.
I could. It depends what's being brought. But I think I very much, if someone's not, playing the best of their abilities, I might be able to just outscore them just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the hope. But this kind of goes into the next topic, which is just setting realistic goals and expectations for games and events. Like right now I'm playing a Old Book against tons of new armies. I mean, I have to be realistic with what I expect. I mean, 2-1 that's quite lofty for a goal, in my opinion.
It's a pretty fair feat.
Like, that's very impressive with the list, that not only the army but also the list, because the list is kind of goofy. I just kind of made it up.
I like it.
But I think it's important to kind of be realistic and set yourself up for success by having realistic goals. If I go in there expecting 2-1 and then I lose my first 2 games, I'm gonna have a horrible time. I'll be sour mood, not be playing. I'll probably get flustered. But if I go in there expecting to lose every game, you just set yourself up, I think, for a better headspace for when just understanding what's more realistic.
Oh, yeah. And it's kind of like, I kind of copied you on this, but having like a goal, and then you can have a stretch goal. Like, you're realistic. Okay, I'll probably go 2-1.
Yeah.
Even, I haven't gotten a whole lot of practice with my new Tau. They're quite good.
Yeah.
But realistically, I'm expecting 2-1.
Yeah.
I think I'll hit one matchup where I just don't have the answer. Like, I just don't have the experience into whatever faction or...
Right, like even Custodes. Like, even if you'll be doing your studying, but you've never played it.
Right.
So it's tough to know, like, what to even expect.
But if I get some good matchups, Tau are nearing broken, if not...
I mean, I think there's certainly that S tier.
Yeah, I think they're definitely in S tier.
Yeah, so, I mean, with the right... if everything aligns correctly, I think the possibility there for 3-0.
Yeah, it's a nice little stretch goal, but if I don't make that stretch goal, I'm not going to be super disappointed and beat myself up.
Yeah, and even honestly, if you go 1-2 with Tau, but you play the 3 best players there, that's not bad. Record isn't a great indicator all the times, because you'll have, at the last Renegade you played out of your 6 games, you played 5 out of the top 15 or 14. 5 of your opponents were top 14. That's some good competition. I mean,
a little stiff.
Like, I'd say your 3-3 is different than someone else's 3-3. Like, if they didn't, So it's like, record isn't always the best indicator, but it is a good. I mean, it strokes that ego. Let's be honest.
It feels good to get the W.
You want to go that 2-1 or 3-0.
Who doesn't?
Right?
I mean, yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's just important to understand where you're at skill level and your army as well. You can be the best player in the world, but if you just bring a trash army with a trash list, you might not win the event.
Right.
Unless you're Siegler. then you might have a shot. But yeah.
I'm pretty sure he barely. What was it?
Took 4th with Tau.
Yeah.
Pre-nerf Drukhari. Like the Virgin Mary Drukhari where they're just untouched. He took Tau and got 4th place, beating like 4 Drukharis. Mad lad.
Dude's a wizard. The machine.
The machine.
But yeah, I think it's really important to set these realistic expectations. And I think a lot of people kind of overestimate what their list is capable of.
Yeah.
And they're kind of let down when maybe the math is about average.
Yeah, that's a big thing too, is doing your math, understanding what should kill what, and understanding just because it kills something on average, that's half the time. That means half the time it does, half the time it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like you said, it's an important thing.
Oh yeah, I mean it helps ensure you're gonna have a good time.
Because not only like lists too, it's player skill, like understanding if you're not a top 10 ITC guy, doesn't mean you don't have the skill of them, but it means if you play them, you might not win, and that's okay because that means you're just learning. Every time you lose, look at it as an opportunity to learn. Oh yeah,
like I'd much rather lose horribly into Siegler and see him pilot something firsthand than to steamroll someone new to the game.
Yeah, 100%. I would relish the fact to get crumped by Charlie Andre versus like you said, just whooping on someone that's their first game.
Right.
Like it doesn't help me. I'm not really learning much versus, a loss against a great opponent.
I find I'm usually learning more when I'm losing.
Yes, because you really focus on your mistakes, I think, a lot more. Then when you win, you just kind of, you just take your win and you go. You don't
focus
really
more on the outcome.
Yeah, you don't really think about the mistakes you may have made.
Yeah.
But it kind of leads into the prep work that we do for tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
Do you, I guess, like, I like footwear, for stuff we bring to tournaments. I think footwear is super important, and I have my Crocs that I've brought to every tournament I've gone to. Every single RTT, GT, doesn't matter. I bring my Crocs. They're comfy, I feel good in them, and at this point, I consider them lucky.
Hey.
So I have to bring my Crocs.
I've been thinking about it. I have never bought Crocs. But you got me thinking about tournament Crocs.
You look at, you do that meme where you're looking over your shoulder at the Croc girl.
Right.
It's like,
ooh, that Croc life.
It's not looking too bad.
I mean, I try and wear comfortable shoes, but at the end of like 8 hours or however. Yeah. About 8 hours.
8-10 hours.
It's. Your shoes can start to not feel so good.
Yeah, and your feet, you can be a little. At the end of 10 hours, I'm fine with the Crocs.
I'm tempted.
Walking on pillows.
I might have to pick up a pair.
It's not a bad idea. Other things, too, like drinks and snacks, huge. I mean, depending on the venue, sometimes your venue has that, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
So just having your own, like, drinks and snacks to make sure you're kind of refueling that engine as the day goes on.
Like, I really enjoy... those liquid IV or like the mix-in things where it's just like electrolytes and
those
vitamins
are fantastic
and
for rehydration.
I like those a lot.
A lot of times, honestly, if you're being smart, just drink water with like something like that, like electrolytes. Like, I mean, I never adhere to that ever, but I mean, you have to at least drink water on top of the other stuff you drink.
I usually break down and get something with caffeine between rounds 2 and 3.
Yes, but it is important to like hydrate, and if you need the snacks, have a little bit of snacks with you.
Yeah, I like
something
to
light too.
Save the alcohol for post game.
Yes,
technically.
The Chipotle for post game,
and a little celebratory Chipotle.
Have to do the celebratory Chipotle.
It's become a ritual at this point.
It is. It's every tournament.
Yeah,
quite literally.
Every tournament we've gone to so far.
It's awesome.
Please sponsor us, Chipotle.
Please, free burritos, please.
I don't even want the money.
just the food. The $8 burrito, please. But also, books and models. I can't tell you how important it is to triple check what you're bringing, because I've almost forgotten things on trips down or almost forgotten like a book or that one model and like the one warp spider. You're like, oh, I only have 4. I need 5.
Right.
It's so important to triple check that stuff.
I've come very close to forgetting entire units, and then I'm almost out the door, and it's like, nope, one more time.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Right? It's vital that you make sure you have those things. Mm-hmm. Another thing I think is super important, too, is your tokens and playing cards, like for your spells.
Oh, yeah.
For your command phase buffs with 9th edition. There's so many buffs going on. Mm-hmm. I think it's almost a crime to play a game without tokens of some sort. Mm-hmm. Like, I have tokens for spells, for buffs, even for if you need something to help you remind, like to do an action or something, use a token. It's not a bad idea. I also I have index cards for if my opponent doesn't have tokens and they have a complicated army. I'll give them the index cards and be like, can you please just write like what these buffs are and just place them down, just ghetto cards, just so we're both on the same page.
That's a fantastic idea, really.
Yeah, I've never actually had to use it, but because most people have their own tokens, but yeah, some especially like armies like AdMech or GSC, actually any 9th edition army,
right?
Just need those tokens.
Yeah, there's so much going on during tournaments and so much to keep track of. I love having little I just use poker chips that I write on with a Sharpie.
Yeah, that's what I use.
Just nice little tokens. I can write 5+++, and I know I have my little 5-up invuln or feel no pain or
right.
Just little things like that.
It's for you, but it's also for your opponent too.
Oh yeah.
So they understand exactly what's going on. They're not making movement mistakes because they don't know what your units are buffed with.
Yeah, I like just everyone knowing clearly what's going on.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's actually in the ITC rule packs too. You should be playing with tokens. Yeah. So yeah, bring your tokens, kids.
In that regard too, I kind of advise bringing a clock. Bring your own chess clock.
Yeah, chess clocks. I can't tell you how important they are when you're playing your games.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever played a tournament game really without a chess clock?
My first one.
How'd that go?
Everyone since I've brought a chess clock.
Yes. Funny enough, the same thing. The first tournament I went to, the guy wasn't malicious about it, but was just excited telling me about his army throughout the game, and we were taking little breaks to talk about the game and stuff, and then the game ended, and it was the bottom of 2, and I'm playing Eldar, and so I'm trying to play for late game, and I lost a game where I was going to win, so it felt so bad, and it was like Batman witnessing his parents die. It was like, I will take vengeance, and I will bring a clock to every game from here on out.
I like that. Yeah, it just... Most of the time, it isn't out of maliciousness or any sort of malevolent intent. It's just accidental.
Yeah.
But a clock keeps both players on task, and it guarantees each player gets their fair half share of the time.
Yes.
Like,
that's the biggest thing. Is you're at a tournament. I think if you want to play your 300 conscripts, you got to be on a clock, and you got to make sure your opponent gets time to play the game.
Yeah. Yeah, like that last Renegade we went to, I had like 120 models on the board, and I have little experience piloting horde lists. So I was practicing with a chess clock, and I brought a chess clock, and I told most of my opponents, no, because they were telling me, oh no, I'm not going to time out. I brought an elite army. It was like, no, this isn't for you. This is for me to guarantee that you get your time, because I don't want to eat up
right,
more than half.
You want to be fair. Mm-hmm. Because you could very easily, if you're not on a clock, you might not be as... active in your movements. You might take a little bit longer than maybe you should figuring things out. Not on maliciousness, like you said, but just analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's end of round 3, and it's like, all right, TO dings the bell, done, dice down. And you don't want to be on that side. You also don't want to be on the other side where you're like, I'm sorry, man, I played so slow.
Right. Like,
it just feels bad. And I think as time has gone on, I think chess clocks are becoming more normalized. Yeah. And I'm loving to see that.
So am I. Because sometimes you pull it out and people think they're kind of gamey or that kind of thing. And it just keeps everyone on pace. Everyone gets their time.
Yep. Yeah, I think
keeps it fair.
Yeah, I think it's just fair. I think, too, like, people think it's gamey, because they think, oh, this guy's going to try and cheat me out of time and try and just every little second he gets, put it on my clock and not tell me when it's on my time. I mean,
Yeah.
if you play like that, go after yourself. Like, I personally have never seen anybody like that.
Yeah, I'll remind people
yeah.
of their time.
Yeah, I'll try and keep, you only have 11 minutes left. Just want to let you know. Or, hey, didn't switch it back to me, I got you. Stuff like that, I think it helps ease people's, like, minds on the chess clocks.
Yeah. Yeah, and it, like you said, once you kind of get over this guy's going to be kind of gamey because he's got a clock, like, it prevents either player from having a feels bad moment.
Right. And I find, too, being quick with the early in the game, if someone's not used to the clock, they will forget early on to switch it back, and I try to immediately catch that.
Yeah.
Because then it gets them feeling a little more, like, comfortable with it. Like, oh, this guy's not trying to screw me at all. He's actually...
No, I'm just trying to make it fair.
Yeah, just trying to make the game fair.
Yeah, especially, I know you're bringing Eldar. When I'm bringing my Eldar, it's like my first movement phase is like a 20-minute movement
Legitimately
phase.
20 minutes.
Like,
I've had people go, oh, man, are you going to finish the game? I'm like, yep, nope, this is just what I do. I just take 20 minutes on my first one. It's usually the first or the second one. It's guaranteed 20 minutes.
Gotta get that positioning right with such a fragile
get my
army.
plan down, my positioning right, and then from there I just go.
Yeah, then that guarantees, like, it keeps your opponent from like, hey, come on, we gotta go. You're like, I'm on my time.
Yeah, I have my 20, 50, whatever minutes left. Like, if I clock out, so be it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, for like $12 on Amazon.
Right? I think it's a necessity.
It's so worth it. So
worth it. Yeah. Another thing I think is a necessity is some way to carry your models and your tokens, chess clocks, and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
I personally use like a toolbox for my little knickknacks, my clocks, my tokens, my dice, my rulers, and then like I have some sort of tray for my army usually. I like the magnetic cases. I know you're big on the magnetic cases.
I love it.
They're so good. But I also like the trays for at the tournament because I can just put all my models on a tray and just carry it from place to place. I know like Frontline Gaming sells one. I just use a frame, a picture frame.
I've been tempted because all my bases are magnetized because I use magnetic cases. So I've been tempted just to buy like a cheap, like dollar store baking sheet that I can just stick all my magnetic models to.
Yeah, it's something where you don't want to be putting your models in and out of foam at a tournament.
No, especially not foam.
No, that eats up so much time, and trust me, you want to use as little brain power in between rounds as you can.
Yeah.
And I think, too, like, having some sort of, like, backpack or toolbox type thing to put your dice, your rulers, all your, bring extra super glue. Huge, Huge. I can't tell.
A little bit of poster tack.
Poster tack, big for when you don't want to be super gluing. Like,
right?
It's so...
I think it was you that introduced me to that idea. It's like,
it's
that's
so nice.
Genius.
Yeah, because then it's like, okay, I don't have to sit here and hold this. I can just boop, boop, boop. I mean, I don't think I've really used too much super glue at an event, but I've sure let my opponents use them because a lot of times things drop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to go over the next part, Zach?
Yeah. So, the next part is the most important part. Bring your mates. No, but yeah, like, go with friends. It makes it so much more enjoyable. Getting, like, a few of your buddies together to go and share the victories and like relish the victories and lament the losses together is fun.
Oh yeah, it's like a locker room type feel. Like,
oh yeah,
getting the boys together and just hanging out, or girls, right? And hanging out.
Yeah, just that like camaraderie thing.
Yeah, where it's just everyone's together. Like you said. I rolled like shit this game. I dominated this dude. It was awesome. Just getting, it's a different atmosphere than going to a tournament alone where you're acquaintances with people, but they're not your best friends, Yeah. The best times I've had playing in this hobby is going to tournaments with friends.
Yeah.
Like that is to me one of the best parts about the hobby.
And you can still have fun. Like, I've had a lot of fun going to tournaments just by myself. I've done it before, but...
Yeah. You meet new people. You start to recognize the local, like, what the local group kind of is. And you'll see the same faces at different tournaments. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a small group of people that play competitively often, like, in tournaments and such. So you kind of get to know people. And you see, it's a lot of the same people. It's definitely fun.
But it's different going and, oh, hey, how have you been? Yeah, kind of small talking it a little bit versus having your close friends there to, oh, man, that's crazy, and
Right.
going on lunch break and
You
talking
meet
about
up at
shit.
the hotel and you do the predator handshake where you both quiet.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Definitely would recommend going with a group, especially for your first one. Go with a friend or two.
Yeah. But yeah, also don't, like, I've... 99% of the people I meet there, really cool
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, such, and they, it's a great place. Like, if you don't have friends to go with, don't be afraid to go out and make new friends at these places.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I've met a lot of people that I'll go even with when I have my mates. My mates,
Your mates?
with I'll go up to like the different groups and just talk with the friends that I've made at tournaments.
Absolutely.
The different people I've beaten, I've lost to, just had fun with.
It's nice connecting with other people who are super into the same niche hobbies.
Yeah, there is so few of us, dozens.
Dozens of us.
And so when you get to meet people that are pretty much the same as you, it's kind of an instant click.
Yeah.
A lot of times. It can be just an instant click of personalities.
It's a lot of fun.
So it's quite fun.
So yeah, leading kind of into more specific prep. You want to go into studying or doing your homework?
Yeah, do your homework for when you're, we don't do it a crazy amount for RTTs, but for the the 2-day events, the 3-day events, which we haven't been to yet, but we hope to. Do your homework. What we do for homework is we do we listen to podcasts such as this, but no, we listen to podcasts, competitive battle reports, just to listen to them or study them, like film.
Throwing an Art of War podcast or Art of War battle report in the background while you paint.
Yep, while you paint, just to listen to how they talk about their movements, because they're very good at vocalizing what's going on in the board state.
Yeah.
Wahapedia is a great resource for just learning other armies, reading up on their stratagems, relics, warlord traits. And then, arguably the most important, Math Hammer app.
Yep.
We both have purchased a Math Hammer app on whatever app store, and it's like $3 or $4. The best investment I've made in this hobby, hands down.
For a few bucks, you can see the exact math on the output of your units. You can see what they do into common profiles.
No more doing math by hand, by doing it in your head. Like it lets you input like shots, rerolls, defensive profiles. It's got it all, and it really lets you like let's say I'm like going into this event. I need to know. I don't want to know. I need to know what units kill crisis suits the most effectively in my army. Do I need to tweak my list because of it? Like if I can't kill a certain profile, I might need to think about changing my list. And just getting like it lets you get a better feel for the game, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Like kind of jump back to what I was saying about expecting more out of like your army or your units than is normally average.
Right.
Actually seeing the math on things is sometimes really surprising. It's not at all what you'd expected.
Right. A lot of times I find that since I've started using the Math Hammer app, I've almost focused less on my dice rolls, like my hit rolls or my wound rolls, because I just kind of just ignore it. Like, oh, it was bad, I just move on. And then because a lot of times you roll a really bad hit roll, then you'll roll a great wound roll, and it'll average out. Or kind of bad hit roll, kind of bad wound roll, and then your opponent's rolls like crap. Or, vice versa. You roll great, and your opponent rolls great.
Yeah.
I kind of find a lot of times everything just kind of evens out with the amount of rolls that are being done.
Yeah. I mean, it helps you kind of let go of the dice results, which is really nice.
It's super important. And like you said, knowing what to expect from certain units and knowing like, if on average I do this, let me double up so I beat average. So this doesn't happen on average. It happens way more likely than not.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is, you're shooting your Terminator unit into something, expecting it to do super great because it's a Terminator unit, not really knowing what it does.
Right. And then even you can look at the math and say, okay, if I take this many weapon upgrades, then on average I kill 5 2-wound Marines.
Yeah.
But if I'm trying to kill a unit of 5 Marines, I want to make sure on average I kill 8 or 9.
Yes.
If not 10.
Right.
Because I do not like relying on average.
No. Because I think we said earlier, average is half the time it happens, half the time it doesn't. So I want to just double and triple down and really focus on my target priority and just focus things down. Because nothing hurts more than just leaving one little guy alive that's able to just screw with your plans.
Yeah. I think that's really huge. It's helped me a lot. And when you know the averages, I feel like there's a lot of bias where you see your good rolls, but or you see your
bad rolls.
Bad rolls, yeah, but you kind of miss when you rolled hot.
Yeah.
You kind of fixate on the negative aspects. And when you know the averages, you realize, okay, well, it wasn't too far off from average.
I'd say more. I don't think people really roll bad or good in this game, honestly. I think during a course of a game, it all evens out.
Yeah.
I do think, sure, there might be critical rolls, that critical advance roll, that critical save that you just got lucky or unlucky on. But, for the most part, it evens out.
Yeah.
And just doing as much as you can to, remove the dice from the game. Mm-hmm. By doing that, doing math is super important.
Yeah, it's a poor general who blames his dice.
Yes.
If you were relying on dice rolls to win, you kind of weren't planning ahead enough.
Right.
It's honestly really helped me start building redundancy into my list.
Yes.
I don't like relying on any one part of it.
Right.
I like having backup plans and backup plans.
Yeah, you want to have just like you said, the redundancy. Mm-hmm. I've taken redundancy in my list to also redundancy in my target prioritization. Yeah. So I determine what really needs to die. I make sure I have this unit can shoot it, this unit can shoot it, and this unit can shoot it. Mm-hmm. And then I have, if this unit does end up killing it, the other 2 can shoot something else. So I try to have different lanes of fire. It's a whole can of worms, but really it's just making sure that you're not setting yourself up for unrealistic expectations when you're shooting something.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
Big.
When in doubt, do the math.
Yes, when in doubt, do the math, nerd. Another thing I think is super important is playing. Learning how to practice for an event. Because it's one thing, what we kind of do is throughout the year we kind of play fun games. We'll have meme games, kind of like we did yesterday, and then we have games where we're trying for an event. We have a Renegade Open Major coming up in a month. How do we prepare for that? Couple things that I think are super important are learning your openings to the game. Mm-hmm. So player plays terrain is huge. Learning how you're going to deploy that terrain, how you want it set up on each deployment map, is so important.
Oh yeah.
The terrain is the third part of your list. Knowing how you want the terrain set up, if you're a shooting army, how to get the angles you want, or if you're a combat army, how to hide. And also just practicing the different maps as well as practicing against different meta armies. So when I say learn your openings against those, I kind of mean put everything on the board against on the hammer and anvil style. Put your army down versus the meta army you want to practice. Deploy, play the first 2 turns, see how it went. Do I like how I opened this game? No. Let's re-rack and let me just figure out the best way to open the game into this. If I go first or second.
Yeah, absolutely. The first couple turns of a game are so crucial.
Yes.
It decides the pace and everything for the last 3.
Right? Especially the first turn, a lot of times nothing really happens. It's just setting up the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So if you mess up in that portion, you kind of just blundered your queen away.
Yeah.
You just kind of threw your queen out in no man's land and got captured. You didn't even see it. So I think it's super important to play against the meta armies. It doesn't even have to be all the time the super meta armies. It can be armies there's a super good guard player that you'll be playing practice against that guard list.
Mm-hmm.
Put it down on the table and see how it would play and how you want to like play into that matchup.
Yeah.
I think it's super important.
Oh yeah, I think that's huge.
Also is playing your games through too. Re-racking is a vital thing, but I think re-racking can also kind of get you in a bad mindset where you're like, "Oh, I've lost this game. Time to just call it."
Yeah.
You are very good at playing your games through and just squeezing the most out of your units that you possibly can. Do you want to talk about how you get in that mindset at all?
Yeah. So it's kind of like Mont Ka and Cao Yan. You got to be able to master that beginning opening strike, but you also got to be able to focus on the last couple turns of the game. By the time you get to the end of the game, you're running out of resources. There's not as many units on the board as you would like at times.
Yeah.
Or even in one of my recent practice games, I rolled like 9 1s on my 2-up saves for a crisis unit in light cover. And turn 2, I lost a 311-point crisis blob and basically had to play without it for the rest of the game.
Yep. So you blundered your queen.
Yeah, blundered my queen away. Yep. My bodyguard crisis unit queen.
Just gone.
Just gone. So from there, it's kind of tough. You really have to practice like knowing the board state, and it helps to be able to. I know you kind of got me into sitting back and calculating. Okay, how many points do I get if I do nothing here?
Yeah.
Like trying to do as little as possible to expose yourself as little as possible, and if you were able to get a bit of a lead in the beginning, just not letting go of that lead.
Yes, not blowing your load, so to speak. I mean, like a lot of times you want to do that. You get that early, you get a really good first turn. You cripple. You do what you think is crippling your opponent, and then you're like, how about we fucking do it again? And you just come back for more, and it's and then that attempt doesn't work, and now you've kind of put yourself you've let your opponent back in the game by overextending.
Yeah, it's all about that kind of cagey gameplay where you don't want it's using angles, it's only exposing your units just enough to attack their specific target or just to get into cover or wherever they need to be without giving your opponent shots into stuff.
Yeah, doing the damage you need to do and nothing more.
And nothing more.
Yeah.
Because if you overexpose what little you have left, you're out of the game.
Yeah, like the biggest pet peeve I have when I'm playing is if I throw a unit away for nothing. Like if I position a unit wrong or if I move a unit up thinking it's going to do something and then it just dies, doesn't get its points back at all, I kick myself when I do that. So trying to not overextend at all. But how do you, when you're, like, let's say, like, in that game where you blundered your queen, so to speak, when you lost that crisis unit, how did you, how were you mentally able to stay in the game after losing such an important piece? And what we thought, I was there and I, the peanut gallery was like, oh, we thought it was wraps. We were like, oh, it's done. By the feel of the game, it felt like the game was over.
So when I got back into 40k with Harlequins when they were really, really bad.
Bad.
So it's like, I learned a lot of it from that, but it's really hard not to get caught up in that. But forcing yourself to stay calm and realize that while you may have lost a really important resource, don't let yourself think, oh, well, now I'm out of the game. Because now you're just out of it. You have to really buckle down and go, okay, math out exactly how many points you need to win, how much you need to deny, and just try and stick to that plan. A lot of people, I notice, once they're kind of down, they start taking risky plays. They really start going for the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Whereas I notice a lot of the time, if you start playing reserved, you're just getting the guaranteed points, trying to deny where you can start to pull it back in the later turns. It's just kind of trying to keep a cool head under pressure.
Yeah. And a lot of times I see in this game, it almost feels like a lot of times when you do get that crippling, you blunder the queen, seems like your opponent then in turn blunders their rook and knight. They just end up throwing their own units away in excitement. Like they don't do that reserved play where they're like, okay, I've got them on the back foot, now I'm going to pull back. They want to just overextend, and then you can kind of maybe look for those plays because they're overextending.
Yeah, well, I know we both have loved the play style of kind of letting your opponent make a mistake and then capitalizing on it.
Yes.
So if they get a little overconfident and you start playing really cagey and really carefully, you can kind of bait them out to then in turn overextend and kind of even things up a little bit.
Yeah, and I like that idea of taking your points, not getting crazy, and then capitalizing on mistakes rather than, you said, going for the Hail Mary right away. Because I think by taking your points, if you have to go for the Hail Mary, do it at the end of the game where it's you have to anyway.
Yeah.
Because you don't necessarily have to do it on that turn too, most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most
you know,
of the time.
when you're playing little Gribblies into Orc Speedwa, you just kind of do what you got to do.
Yeah, you might just try and go full bore there.
Yeah, but most of the time you have play. You have onus to score points and maybe win the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of it's just mindset.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why I turned to you, because you played those Harlequins for a year straight when they were trash, pre-White Dwarf, and I am not joking, lost every game for a year.
It was about every game for a year I lost, and then I started getting real good at playing from behind.
You're almost better playing from behind, I swear.
Well, yeah,
it's so weird.
It's almost like I get ahead and I get worried.
Yeah, you're almost like more comfortable playing from behind. It's weird. It's the Harlequin way.
The Harlequin way. Well, before they got crazy
there. And now they're back down to earth.
Yeah, they're not
as bad as they were, though.
No.
They were bad.
There was a time.
And not to mention, you were playing a lot into like Codex 2.0 Space Marines.
Yeah, that didn't help.
Didn't help.
Yeah.
If you could also speak on testing your unit's limits, finding out what they can do.
Yeah, so I kind of like in the example used of the Crisis Blob just getting deleted.
Yeah.
Then I kind of have to think, okay, I lost one of my big heavy hitters that was kind of controlling that area of the board.
Yeah.
So I then had to kind of take a step back. My commanders were both next to that unit because I didn't think it was going to die. So from there, I mean, it did expend a lot of his output killing that one unit, but then instead of using the Kroot as little OBSEC objective holders and doing actions, I then had to hide the unit of Kroot behind a building to almost act as my bodyguards for my my Cold Star and Farsight, because it was the only thing nearby. So I kind of had to change their role, and then from there, I was kind of planning on, once I had done a little bit, that Crisis unit could hide in the back and even perform actions or do that kind of thing, and I just didn't have that resource. Or we were kind of talking about, like, if one of my Fire Warrior units or my Kroot get taken out and I can't retrieve data with them anymore, maybe deciding, okay, I might not get a bunch of damage output, but now my Crisis units have to act as that action monkey.
Yeah.
Kind of using units for different things than you originally intended.
Depending on the board state.
Yep.
It's kind of like in chess, there's like chess theory, where it's like you're playing based on what your opponent does, seeing the optimal move from there, kind of thing. More so than playing a preset opening where you just do the opening no matter what your opponent does.
Kind of got to work on the fly sometimes.
Work on the fly. Kind of like, you have that unit that does the pregame move, that does like actions, like maybe the Kroot Hounds. They do actions, they do engage. They can also move block.
Yeah.
They can also screen out from alpha strikes. Just tons of different things they can do. And knowing when to use them, I think you learn that obviously by playing more games, but also by playing those games where you are behind.
Yeah.
And trying to score as many points as you can. You really get to see what your units can do.
And that kind of leads into putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
If you kind of want to go over that.
Yeah, so like, especially when you're playing like practice games for a tournament, like we got Renegade coming up. So, well, not now, but when it is coming up, like you're playing your practice games. Let's say your opponent goes for a 5-inch charge, they fail it. Then they fail the CP reroll, so they fail the 5-inch charge, which is unlikely, and then they fail that. Maybe you go, hey, you've spent the CP. You want to just say you made it. Just to give yourself like a better idea of what would happen in a game.
Yeah.
Because generally, in a game, it can happen, but it's probably not going to happen, and you don't want to practice playing against an army when they're, bad dice rolls happen like that.
Right. Yeah, like you're not getting worthwhile practice out of and we did say like dice average out over the course of a game,
right?
But there are specific key moments where they can swing one way or the other,
right?
And you don't want one of those key moment swings to be a deciding factor in a practice game.
Practice game, yeah, a tournament game. Oh heck yeah, but no, and like the example of the crisis unit, horrible 9 out of 14 ones. If I'm the opponent. In a whatever practice or in a whatever game, let it ride. But in a practice game, I might be like, hey man, let's not kill all of those because I want like to see what would probably actually happen in a tournament. That crisis unit would live.
Yeah, like I don't want to practice into someone that like if I'm getting ready for a tournament,
right.
I don't want to practice basically into someone playing a 2,000 point Tau army minus a unit of crisis suits.
Right. You want your reps to be valuable, indicative of what you'd see in a tournament.
Yeah, like I almost want to practice for what happens if my opponent rolls hot and I roll bad.
Yes, like one thing I've seen in the Art of War room is when Siegler was playing his Tau into the pre-nerf Speedwa against the million orc buggies. There was like 9 or some dumb thing of them. He was like, I want you to roll for it. If you get above 7, use it. If you get below 7, I want it to go up to 7. Because I want to see what would happen if your speed buggies did, or your squig buggies did great with the rolling.
Yeah.
Like above average. And I think stuff like that is super important. Like seeing, okay, if this meta list hits hot, and not like every roll is a 6, but like just a little above average, what's going to happen to my army? And then can I come back from this? Do I have to tweak my list at all? You know? I think it's really important. You want to get like a real feel for the game that you're going to be playing at a tournament when you're playing practice games. You don't want to you don't want to be playing a game for keeps and using like those critical dice rolls that favor you because you're not, like you said, you're not really learning much from that.
Yeah. But yeah, kind of stress testing things.
Yeah, stress testing. That's a great way to put it.
Putting yourself in kind of the worst situations.
Yeah.
See how you get out of it. And that kind of ties in with playing from behind a little bit, too.
Yeah, and another thing, too, you can do, not even a bad idea, is like when you have those poor rolls, ride with it. See what happens if, that does happen. Like, it helps you better to know what happens when in a bad situation than if everything goes right.
Yeah, like if you're playing Thousand Suns and you just whiff a psychic phase, maybe see what happens if you're playing down a psychic phase.
Right, yeah, like it doesn't happen, probably won't happen. It's probably good to know what would happen, though. Right? At least once.
Oh, yeah. Even, like, practicing factions into their kind of counter.
Yes, that's a big one. Yeah, some people might, you might want to, like, ooh, let me just stay away from that. But honestly, I think it helps you to know, like, get your reps into, like, the counter to your army. Because even if you're planning on losing to it, maybe the person you're playing doesn't have experience into your army, doesn't even know it's a counter. And maybe that person isn't as good as your practice partner. So you're able to beat them, even though it's your counter.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen tons of times. We have a friend that plays Death Guard, was playing into Thousand Suns, couldn't get it done. But then at the tournament, he plays into Thousand Suns, and he's able to win because he's played them so many times, and he knows kind of what they do. And, the player wasn't as good as their practice partner.
Yeah.
So, super important just to... just try and make your reps as valuable as they can be, because most people don't get like unlimited practice reps.
Yeah, and when a game can go for 3 hours, you kind of want to be getting the most out of your practice as you can.
Right, especially most people don't play more than once a week.
Yeah.
So if you're only getting that once a week game, you want to make that as valuable as you can.
Oh yeah, yeah. You don't want to squander your practice by steamrolling someone. You're not learning anything.
You're not.
From that.
Yeah, you're learning nothing. You're learning nothing if your opponent's Thousand Suns whiffs on their psychic phase. You learn nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
On a last note, one thing that I throw into my tournament bag every single time, goddamn ibuprofen, some Tylenol, some painkiller of some sort.
Yes.
Like,
Emergency.
I'm a little bit prone to headaches, and if you've ever gotten a migraine headache in the middle of the second round of a tournament, you got a game and a half to finish, like...
I can only imagine.
It's debilitating. You can't think. It's not good.
You might even want to leave at that point if it's that bad. If it's bad,
right.
Bring your painkillers.
I mean, even if your feet are a little sore, just one ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Little Tylenol. Yeah.
Little Tylenol for you guys.
Yeah. Little performance enhancement, you know? No.
Little Zanny.
But no, yeah, like it's
big.
It's big. It's come in handy a couple of times. I just wanted to throw that in at the end.
No, that's great. Yeah, I'm lucky I don't really get headaches, but honestly, I should probably bring it just in case because sometimes it happens.
Yeah, it's a nice little in case thing.
Right.
Maybe some gum and breath mints too. There's a lot of like
maybe some deodorant.
Yeah. Please take a shower.
Oh, please.
before the tournament.
Please, God. Luckily, we don't play Magic.
There's a lot of people with a lot of adrenaline going in a relatively small room.
And well, let's be honest, Zach. This is Warhammer. There's a lot of body mass.
It can be.
There's a lot of body mass.
Sweat going on.
Sometimes the body mass isn't cleaned great.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun though. If you're on the fence about going to a tournament, I mean, even if you just want to start out with an RTT,
that's how we started.
Rogue Trader tournament. Yeah. It's usually like 12-ish people.
Yeah, 12-ish people. It's small. You bring a friend, you bring a couple friends.
Yeah. Make
it a good time. There's nothing better than in between rounds going up and seeing how your friend did, or you finish your round and you go see how you go watch your friend's game.
It's so much fun.
And there's nothing better than when you both win.
Dude, that's one of my favorite things too. Is just like if I finish early or one of us finishes early, like getting to go over, like, how's it going? Seeing what the last couple of turns are looking like.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so fun.
So cool. It is a lot of fun as a shared experience.
Like I love playing Garage Hammer. It's very fun, just chill, grab a couple beers, hang out, smoke some vitamins. But it's going to a tournament is just like a different atmosphere,
Yeah.
So it almost is like, it's a tournament, I gotta win. It feels different than winning a Garage Hammer game, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Like, there are no stakes, but the stakes are a little higher.
Yeah, and like, because you're not playing each other, your friends, you're playing other people. When the crew gets a W, it's pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. Because, you can all get a W.
Yeah, you can all get a W, right? Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
That's fun.
Another thing, too, just before we cap this off, is you get to play armies you don't normally get to play.
That's a huge one.
That's
huge. Love that so
There's
much.
There's so many armies that our meta doesn't have, and that we just get to play at tournaments.
Oh man, there was a minute there in 8th edition where I was playing nothing but Space Marines.
I had 6 Space Marine armies, everyone else had 4. Like, you were only playing against Space Marines.
I was playing Eldar against, Harlequins against Space Marines. Yeah. And I got to go to a tournament. It's like, oh hey, I see other Xenos factions.
You're like, whoa, this isn't 30k.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, you're basically playing Harlequins in a 30k meta.
Getting a little variety of your games, and then even playing against different people with different play styles.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Is like, I've played against this, and then they play it completely different than your friend. You're like, whoa, I didn't know they could do it like this.
Yeah, you get used to your play group's play style.
Yeah,
like everyone kind of has a archetype they.
Yeah, like generally it's like aggressive or passive, and if your friend plays sisters super aggressively. Go to a tournament, you go, there's sisters. I kind of know what they're gonna do, and then they just sit there. You're like, I didn't know they could win like this,
right?
So it's fun. Every time you go to a tournament, it feels like you're learning more and more about this vast game.
Yeah, just a good time,
just a great time. And on that,
I
think that's gonna be wraps for us, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We hope to give you a great recap of the winner.
We'll see.
Potentially.
Come on, Tau.
Potentially that one dub.
For the greater good.
Yeah. All right. On that note, catch you guys later.
Take care.